All right, here we are. We're going to do the Chinese brush cutter upgrades. This is the Wolverine, and there's 4 or 5 that are identical to it. So first thing we got, red Loctite. We're going to do all the bolts, change the bolts, Loctite them. Next thing, these are the bolts for the blades. You see that? Much better setup. So I got 2 of these, 1 for each blade. Look at that. Now that, my friends, that's a blade. We have 30.5 total. These were called 27 3/4. So what that means is that center of the hole to the end is 27 3/4. Total blade length is like 30.5. Much better. I'll put them side by side with the ones that are on it, and I will do my best to put a link in the description of what these parts are. All this came from Amazon. Woo! Here's a stump jumper. She's heavy. So hopefully all this stuff works out. Let's check the bolts real quick. So there's like a keyway right there in it. So there we go. So it just slides right in. Blade rides right here. That lock washer on the back side. Yeah. So let's get going. Okay, first off, do not ever get underneath your machine with the arms up in between the cab. Never do this. Okay. So what we got to do, we get this cotter pin off. Then we will see what size this nut is. I would assume that it is metric, obviously, and I doubt I have any metric sockets that size. So okay, so what I come up with was this is about a 36 millimeter, or like 1 7/16 inches. I don't have either one of them. I got up to 32 millimeter, and I have 1 1/4 and 1.5 inches. So sounds like I need to buy more tools. It's not that often I don't have the tool for it, but luckily it's not very tight. So .36 millimeter. Okay, let's do a quick comparison. Does it seem like maybe that's a little heavier duty blade? Yeah. I was just kind of comparing the lengths here, matching up the holes and all that. Obviously this will sit below here. You know, this will be on top, but there you go. Looking like the links and everything are pretty good. And I've seen 1 or 2 videos where the rotation had to be changed, but it's looking like to me, I got cutting edge. Looks like it should be just fine. So something else to think about. Okay, you think about this thing spinning, right? You come up on a tree or whatever it is, something pretty tough, and you don't you don't get it cut with the first swap, and you know it's coming around and say it's here, and this thing's swinging. Well, when this hits whatever it is, tree, piece of steel, whatever, it's connected directly to your gearbox. So that's putting all that pressure on your gearbox. That just seems like a lot of force. This big thing swinging, wham, tough on the gearbox. So then you think about this one. Obviously, you come up on something and you hit this edge. I mean, that's really nothing. Let's say we both hit them here. Wham, that's going to stop. This one, it's going to it's going to fold that blade back and take so much pressure off that gearbox. So this just makes way more sense as far as not only doing a better job, lasting longer, but being easier on the gearbox itself. So this is kind of crazy to me, but whatever. Okay, so I was checking out these bolts. These would be like a 5/8. I do have some 5/8 grade 5 bolts. So, but when you look at these, this is an 8.8 on the metric side, so it's basically the same kind of bolt. I thought maybe I just needed to go to some American bolts, that these were like cheap. But they're basically the same thing as a grade 5 bolt. So I may be wrong for this, but I'm just gonna put some red Loctite on them, give them a good snug, and you know, they will either hang on or they won't. If I'm wrong, then when I do the next review on the thing, I'll let you know, like say, hey, this wasn't the right way to go about it. But personally, I think red Loctite and a good snug, I don't think they're going anywhere, but we shall see. Okay, I have found my first mistake, and it's these bolts right here. They're too long. So what I need to explain to you is all this stuff is correct as far as the blade goes. This is, so that's 1.5 inch hole. It's got a little shoulder right here. And this is correct, it's 1.5 inches. You see, that fits like it should. The problem is this part. So the size is correct. It is, I think it's 1.1 inches is what that is. The hole's 1.1 inches, so all that's right. But you will see that when you put it in there, there's a lot of smooth shaft there, and she's not going to get tight. So I'm not going to link these bolts in the description, but when you go to look for bolts, what you need is it's an inch and an eighth here from the shoulder. This is, come on. So this is 2.5 inches. What you need is a 2-inch. But I'm really not, I'd rather go ahead and get it done today. So what I'm going to do is just get me a piece of 1/2-inch plate, drill a hole in it, just use it as a little spacer right there so it'll tighten down. I think I will have to maybe grind just a little bit of that keyway off, but all that'll be fine. So when you're looking for bolts, if you use this stump jumper, 2 inches is all you really can make work. So anyways, let me jump on that. I got some 1/2-inch plate over here. We'll try to knock that out pretty quick. Okay, so what I have here is just a piece of 1/2-inch, some scrap, and I'm going to do, I'm just going to do two 2x2 squares, and I have a 1.25 inch annular cutter, so it'll make quick work out of that. I'm gonna go ahead and drill them, and then I'll just cut them out real quick with the probably plasma cutter. But let's drill these holes. Okay, so I punched marked those, I had those soapstone lines, which I knew they were going to disappear once I put cutting oil. So punch those. Super easy to just jump right in and redraw your lines. And I'm just going to cut these with the plasma real quick. No sense in making it any harder than it has to be.
Ah,
Okay, let's see what happens now. So this is what I ended up with. Just a couple blocks. As you can see, we got nothing but threads there, so definitely by the time you put a lock washer, that'll be no problem. All right, we got, these are 1 5/8. We got the big DeWalt on setting 3, much as it'll do. Now that sucker is strong, so I think those will be plenty tight. Okay, let's see how well she goes on there. I'm sure it's not going to be light. What's your fingers? Whoa, baby. That's a toe smasher. Well, I had it. There she is. Don't let go. Oh, I gotta find the nut. Okay. Hmm. There she is. So I was just thinking about this cotter pin right here. This thing's going to be rotating this way. So it's going to be spinning this way. So my thinking is I don't want anything to grab that. This one here, I'm going to bend over the top like you normally would. This one, I'm going to bend back this way so that as it's hitting stuff, it's, it's not grabbing it and trying to rip it off. So definitely want to keep an eye on that. Okay, the next thing to do is we got to get some bracing here because this thing, it bounces and it's really going to put some stress cracks in these welds. So I had some 1.5 inch tubing, like 11 gauge. I think it's going to be enough as long as I'm, not trying to stand up my skid steer on the end of it or something. Should be good. So I just got a little piece here to ballpark it. I don't try to make this too complicated. So just put that up there. I got about 3/8 of an inch. From here to here is 3/8 of an inch. So what does that mean? What that means is, so what I'm going to do is come back 3/8. Three-eighths to nothing. It's going to get you plenty close enough. I'm going to use the old Hercules portaband here real quickly. Now for me, that's more than close enough. Now let's figure out the other side. All right. Now get out your old handy T-bevel here. I mean, I got a weld there and things, but that's matched up pretty good. We ain't trying to be, we're not building an airplane. So obviously that's going to be slightly different. This is going to come down a little, but it's going to be close enough. So what I want to do is, since this is 1.5 inch tubing, I'm going to slide it back to about 1.5 inches. Boom, cut right there. Okay, that's gonna fit great. Boom. We do have a little gap here, but it's because we got a weld. I'm gonna clean this paint off. I'll just take a little off that weld. We'll be good to go. I'm going to lay this over the top of that piece of tubing, trace it out, mark it, cut that one, weld it up. Alrighty, we got the little bit of paint cleaned off of them. Got the old Miller MIG, Miller-Matic 210. Let's weld them up. Okay, we got them on there. That's going to be a good bit better, I think. I don't know, we'll see. I think, it's going to definitely stiffen it up a good bit. I may have some gray paint. I think I do have, this is almost the exact same color as the Kubota gray. I think I have some somewhere. I'll have to do some digging, but that's really the least of my concern right at the moment. So the only other thing I'm wanting to do here is add the case drain, which will go in this plug right here. So what I'm about to do, let me go find an Allen wrench. I'm going to try to figure out what size this is because I can't go do that today. It's like Saturday afternoon. There's nowhere around I can get a hose made right at this moment, but I'm going to try to figure out my sizes and my links, give you all that information, and I'll go get mine made next week. Okay, guys, this is what I'm coming up with. So this is a quarter inch pipe thread nipple. Threads in a little ways and stops, which that's the way pipe thread should work. Okay. This is the plug that came out of it. This is a quarter inch pipe thread cap. Goes in there pretty good ways. So, is it quarter inch pipe thread? Sure seems like it. I'm not super familiar with hydraulic thread types. This is, just looks like a plug with a washer that's got a little bit kind of a rubber insert in it. So, I don't know. Don't go have a hose made based off of that, but it sure seems to be like quarter inch pipe thread. If y'all know something that it is besides quarter inch pipe thread, if you're familiar with hydraulic, please comment. If there's, if that's called something different, but it's the same as quarter pipe thread, I don't know. I know there's a lot of different types. So what I'm thinking right at the moment is, there's a cover here. So really, depending on how tall it is, a 90 might be a little bit of a problem. Really a 45. If it's low, 45 coming up through here and going out. I'll just have to gauge that of, depending on what type of fittings. A straight fitting, don't really love the idea of making a 90 bend on that. If it is quarter inch pipe thread, I'll just do this and thread a 90 into it and go like that. What I can tell you is up here, that's 3/8. It's what they call a 3/8 flat face coupler. 3/4, half, 3/8. So right now, I'm thinking it's 1/8 inch pipe thread to 3/8 flat face. I don't know the length, but y'all can take your own measurements. I'm gonna go, you know, needs to be maybe 2 inches longer than whatever these hoses are. So anyways, I think we should go try it out, see how these new blades work. Okay, so what I got to do is confirm that it's going the right way to make sure it's turning this way when I turn it on. So I can see the GoPro screen here on my phone as I get in. So let's see. Oh no. Okay, I was going the wrong way. I didn't think it would go the wrong way, but it'll just go real slow. It's got some type of valve here on the lines. So the way that we want it to go. Woo, that's dangerous. All right, that is cutting edges leading the way. So let's go try it out. All right, I can already tell a huge difference just in the flex on this thing coming across the pasture. Oh man, the front of it's not just bouncing up and down. So there's a couple of decent, probably this one right to my left is about a 3 to 4 inch tree, and there's a couple other decent ones here. So shoot, let's see what happens. This is pretty good size right here. I mean, it's just blowing right through it. Oh yeah, this is so much better. It doesn't have nearly as much like drag on it, but I'm sure slinging those big blades around, you got a lot more mass, you know, just blowing through this stuff. Reach up here and grab these limbs. It did bog down a little bit right there. Getting some vibration. Just see if anything looks off. Everything looks okay. It just seemed like I was getting a little vibration. Let's start her up here. I always like to start up slow, then raise my RPMs. Well, fence there. So I just got back from running it for probably about an hour, and I have no complaints. It's definitely much stiffer. Like just going through the pasture, man, you can tell the difference. It's not like just flexing. So that's a lot better, much stiffer. I think that'll make that all those welds right there last a lot longer because they would eventually stress crack.
The blades, I think, are much better. Um, I did stall it out a few times, but I think anything that it's lacking is just mostly my machine. It's small. I don't think I would really want to run this on like a 100 horsepower machine, and but for what I got, I really have no complaints.
I do I like running it with this off because I can see it spinning. I can see if you know, if it loses speed, you can see it, or if you bind it up, you can see that it stopped. So I like running it without the cover. Um, Blades, they look great, and I'm telling you, I went through some pretty heavy stuff. So all in all, for if you'll use common sense, I think it'll last me a long time. I don't think I would put it on a machine and send it out with employees or um, anything like that because they'll probably tear it up. So, anyways, that's the update. Sorry I couldn't get the case drain done, but like I said, it's Saturday, and really I have a bunch of hydraulic work to do. I have to get my 57 set up for the mulcher that I have for it. I bought for it, and I have to run a complete case drain all the way back to the tank. I got to get all the fittings, um, everything to hook it up. So instead of going to the little small shop here in town who's 3 times the price, I'm gonna go to the hydraulic supply and buy all the fittings and all the hose we need. And my brother-in-law has a crimper. He used to have a parts store, so we can build all the hoses, for a third of the price of going up here to the little ag shop. Um, so if I run into anything on the case drain, I'll just make a little short video for y'all, but should be pretty simple. Just take the fittings up there, man, and they'll match it up. Um, that's pretty much it. Well, that's my Saturday project, guys. So now I got to get this shop cleaned up, call it a day. I'm sure the wife's got plans for me too. So, anyways, thanks for watching. Catch you next time.